And I told her, I said, you have every right to leave me and take the kids because I didn't live up to my vows. And that was never in her thought. That was never in her, process. But that is what I was telling myself, is that I didn't deserve her love. I didn't deserve her devotion. I didn't deserve to see my kids because I put their mother through something that was harming her on a monthly basis, probably.
Welcome to 3%. We're your hosts, Jamie Haig.
And I'm Blake Roberts.
We're two best friends, fathers, husbands, and just two guys trying to figure it out.
We're also therapists, which is probably a pretty important part.
That's true.
And we believe that at our best, people are 97% honest with themselves and others. And it's that hidden 3% of emotions, needs, desires, and behaviors that we keep to ourselves that keep us bound to shame and loneliness, from which many of our issues stem.
Each week on this podcast, we'll interview leaders in the fields of psychology, theology, arts, and athletics to explore holistic masculinity. We're not here to tell you the man you need to be, but we are here to help you explore what gets in the way of being the man you want to be.
We're going to help you develop courage and give you the tools to share your 3% in the relationships that matter most, so you can more deeply connect with yourself, God, and others. So, pull up a chair.
Let's get into it.
So let's be honest, let's be honest, let's be honest, let's be honest, won't you be?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the 3% podcast. This episode is very different than one that we have ever done. And we just are recording this bumper right off of recording this episode. And it might be one of my favorite episodes that we've done.
Absolutely one of my favorite, yeah.
If you guys remember, I don't know when this was, a couple months ago, we did a little giveaway where we asked our community to email us in a story of something that they are going through, struggling with, that they would want to work through or talk about live on the podcast, almost as like a coaching session with Jamie and I. And we had a number of people that reached out very courageously, and we're sad that we didn't get to all of them. Maybe one day we'll do more, but the one that ended up coming on is who you'll hear from in a minute, a devout listener of the show. And I mean, it was, we may have to rename the episode with you, Jamie, was our most vulnerable episode yet. This one may, well, I'm not going to compare your vulnerability. They were both vulnerable.
Yeah.
However, this was like so impactful, and for anybody,
very courageous.
Very, very courageous. And people listening to this might not have the same story as Dustin, who you'll hear from, but I'm pretty sure anybody listening can relate to carrying the secondary trauma or shame or guilt of things that you didn't cause, but that you feel responsible for.
Yeah,
And
well said.
having the experience of shame that is hard to get rid of. And even if you've worked through a lot of your story and find yourself still struggling with parts of it, I mean, this episode is literally for anybody, and it was a gift. And we're really excited for you to get to hear from not just us, but from a member of the 3% community, which is the people like who we're doing this whole show for. It was a really cool experience for me.
Yeah. Can't wait for you guys to hear this. It was, like Blake said, so encouraging. I've said a number of times, and I still feel this in my body now, I just want to run through a brick wall after talking to Dustin. The courage that's present in this episode. Dustin, I hope that you did come back and listen, even though I know how it feels to listen to yourself, because this is what it is all about. As we talked about with Dustin on the episode, this is real guys having real conversations that create real change.
Yeah.
And we want that for all of you. So
yeah. And give Dustin some love in the comments after you listen to the episode, because affirmation does go a long way, and this was really courageous.
A long way. Yeah. So pull up a chair. Let's get into this one.
Well, Dustin, why don't you go ahead and just kind of give us a 30,000-foot view of the story that you have told us a little bit about that you want to talk about today?
Yeah. I won't go too long, but a little bit of the backstory with it is my dad and I kind of had a hard relationship most of my life. He was very much an emotional and mental abuser to me, just would talk down to me all the time, say I wasn't worth anything, would call me names, just derogatory names and stuff like that. And so growing up in life, like I just never felt connected to him at all. And I could see that in so many ways now as a 38-year-old, just I didn't see examples of a good dad. I didn't see examples of what a good man was. I saw the negative ones.
Hmm.
And so I still have tendencies to act out in anger or act out in yelling like I grew up in, honestly. And so that's kind of where my dad and I's relationship was. I was a senior in high school, and it came out that he had an affair on my mother. And then it came out that it was several affairs he had had on my mother over 20 years of marriage. And um, and so that was kind of the final straw for my mom. She asked him to leave. And the final thing for me was he came in my room. I remember specifically the night before he left, mom kicked him out. He told me that they were just having issues, marital issues, and it was kind of a good time for him to just step away to see if it was going to work out or anything. Didn't mention anything about the affair, nothing like that. And so I began this conversation, my senior year of high school going, okay, well, parents are just getting divorced. That's what happens to everybody's parents. And then come to find out all these lies and stuff. And our whole community knew, which was kind of weird also. And like nobody told my mom, which was so weird. But anyway, so dad left, and then he would try to come back to my mom like over the year, my senior year, when I'm supposed to be making big life decisions and stuff like that. He tries to come back to my mom, and we'll stay for a day or so, apologize, and then he'll leave again. And so just the back and forth of him just trying to get what he wants, and when he doesn't get what he wants, going back, right? And just like that kind of, and this will all play into the story later, I promise. So anyway, I go to college and stuff like that, not speaking to my father really. About 2 years into college, I hear this sermon about forgiveness and just about, Jesus forgave us so much. And so we need to begin those conversations. And the pastor was really good about saying, just because you forgive today doesn't mean you have to, reconcile the whole relationship tomorrow, right? And so I began those conversations with him and got to meet his wife and, started trying to build a relationship and stuff like that. But all the while keeping very much distance and, arm's length. Segue to several years later, I'm married. My wife and I got married in 2009. We had 2 miscarriages before we had our son. He was born in 2011.
Okay.
And so kind of the first incident that occurred, I should say this, I don't remember these instances exactly.
Okay.
My wife says in the moments that they happened that I dealt with them. Sometimes I got physical with my dad. I don't remember them really at all. And I can talk more about that when I talk about therapy later. But so this is my wife sharing these occurrences to me after my dad has passed and after it has come out that he has sexually harassed, abused, I don't know the terminology exactly, but he has sexually abused my wife for most of our marriage. We've been married 16 years now. I will say he died from cancer in 2019, I believe, right before COVID kind of hit. So so this first occurrence, my son was a baby still, and my wife was trying to put him in a car seat, and my dad came up behind her and touched her very inappropriately on the backside. And apparently I saw the thing, and I came at my father and all but took him down and trying to protect my wife. And we left, And according to my wife, I said, "You will never see your grandchildren again. You will never see me again. I want nothing to do with you."
Mm.
So that's the first occurrence that I know about. And then throughout our marriage, again, there were different occurrences of him. There was one scenario of him trying to get in the room when she was changing her clothes to go swimming. Like he was trying to like beat down the door, which
Wow.
is just so weird and crazy to think about. There was other scenarios where he would just kind of walk behind her and touch her backside or touch her top or anything like that. And just different scenarios where he would do that all the time. And anytime we were around. But my wife says that all the time he would do it when I wasn't in the room or when he would kind of block me away from the situation where I visibly could not see. And then he would do it and kind of walk away. So all those scenarios kind of happening. And again, he gets brain cancer probably in like 2018. Well, it starts in his kidneys and moves up his body. He dies in 2019 of brain cancer. I don't know any of this that has happened with my wife, so I'm trying to be the good, diligent firstborn son, taking him to his chemo treatments, going to see him in the ER, spending the night with him in the ER so his wife can have a break, trying to just be a good, diligent son. Although knowing he never chose me, he never wanted to be really friends with me. And in fact, one of the nights I spent the night with him, he told me that I wasn't better than everybody like I thought I was. And he cursed at me, saying that I wasn't his favorite child, and saying that he kind of wished that I had never been born, and just all these crazy stuff. And that for me was kind of like, okay, this is the truth. This is the truth that he's kind of been hiding, to other people my whole life. He's been trying to be the good dad and out front, but this is what really lies underneath, and this is what he really thinks about me. And so, anyway, he passes in 2019, and then I would say about 4 or 5 months later is when my wife told me about all this. She sat me down and told me all this, and it was a real interesting time because I was struggling mentally and emotionally just because sorry, this is a really long-winded 30,000 view.
You're
No,
doing
this is
great.
helpful, man. Come on.
I was really struggling during that time. First of all, just because you lose a parent, right? Like
Yeah.
there's dynamics with that. There's thought process with that. Couple with I didn't really care for my dad, and we didn't get along, and he was abusive to me. And so, one sense, maybe I was kind of glad he was gone, and then I felt shame for that as a son. Like, who wants their parent to be gone, right? So then my wife tells me this one night before I'm supposed to go to youth group and lead a bunch of students and be happy-go-lucky and teach them about Jesus. She tells me this, and I thought it was over. Like, I thought our marriage was over. I was like, how in the world could she ever get past this? How could she ever forgive me? Because we're going to talk about this more with the therapy part. Like, my biggest shame in all of this is apparently I knew the first one happened. I don't remember it, but I kept taking her back to this house, to these bad situations, to this man who abused her. I said I wasn't going to get emotional.
You're good. Take
And
your time.
that's always been the hardest part for me is that I'm supposed to protect her. I'm supposed to take care of her. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't take care of her. I kept taking her back to those bad moments and to those scary moments. And I just honestly thought, and we joke about this now, my wife and I just honestly thought she hated the guy because she would be like, I don't want to go. And I just thought she hated the guy. And I was like, I don't want to go either. I don't like him either, but he has grandchildren. I guess we need to be a good person and let him see him and stuff like that. All the while, she is not understanding how I've witnessed these things and how I've dealt with them in the moment, but yet it's like I don't recall them and I don't deal with them, right? And so I thought she was going to leave me. I thought it was over. And anyway, we just kind of began the conversation of we really need therapy through this. And she went first. And then she went to a counselor and just basically wanted to talk through it all, and she went quickly through it. She didn't need she said what she needed was her immediate danger was gone, right? Like his body was gone, the acts were gone, right? And so she didn't have to deal with that anymore. It was more of the how do I take what's happened to me and kind of forgive the situation and just move on with my life. And again, I began therapy. I went through, I think y'all might like this a little bit and get a chuckle out of it. I went through like 3 therapists.
Nice.
The first one I didn't care for, the second one I didn't care for, and I think by the third one, I needed someone who wasn't just gonna say what I needed them to say and just kind of sugarcoated things. I needed somebody who was just gonna be in my face and just, no, this is right, this is wrong, that's not truth, this is truth. And he was very much just he scared me at first, to be honest. He was just so bold, but I've grown to love that man so much, and I trust him with everything that I have to tell him. And I haven't been back to him recently, but I feel like I do need to go back soon. But anyway, I hope that's the 30,000 view there.
Yeah. Thank you for painting that picture.
Happy to clarify anything also.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious just to like check in with you a little bit. I know you've done some work around this and you've told this story before. I'm just curious what's happening for you. Like, what do you notice happening in your body even as you're retelling the story that you've told before? What is it like for you right now? I'm just curious about what's happening for you.
Physically, I'm shaking. I don't know. Hopefully you can't see that on the camera, but and I feel like I do this every time I tell this story just because it is a part of my story. Sadly, I'm always leery of what others will think. Through this whole process, like, we've been called liars. My wife and I have been called liars and saying that we're blowing things out of proportion by my family. Some of our family won't talk to us.
Wow.
Right now, my stepmother said that she was going to scratch my name off his tombstone, like just some hateful things like that. And so even as I'm saying it again, and we've lived with it, for years now, it's still very fresh. It feels brand new even as I talk about it. And I don't feel as hopeless as I did when she first told me. Because we have worked through so much, my wife and I. Like I said earlier, we had 4 miscarriages in our marriage, and we've had this to deal with. She's had different medical issues that we've had to have surgery about, and my son's going through some sickness stuff right now with celiac disease that we've been to hospitals constantly and stuff like that. And so we've been through a lot, and I still feel like 16 is a short span of marriage maybe, but we've been through a lot in that, and so she is my rock, and she has helped me through so much. Just even telling me that she's proud of me and that I'm nothing like him, because that was always the hardest part. Is she told me once, and I told her I would tell this story not as like picking on her, but she told me once that she struggled sometimes because I look like him. And that wrecked me. And that was the darkest time for me after she told me, because I was like, I can't fix my face. I can't fix that. And so how do I fix that? But since then, she's very much explained that and what she meant by that, and how she was just in a moment of hurt then.
Wow.
And so, so obviously you could tell it's still overwhelming, even sometimes. I feel like I know you all very well because I listen to the podcast, but I don't know you all. And so it's like sharing it with you all is partly scary, right? But it's also something I don't want to shy away from, because I do feel like that if it does help one person, like, man, that's all it's worth. Like, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about your body shaking and I know I have some clients who listen to our podcast, and so they will be very familiar with me saying this, but often when I have somebody sitting in front of me going through something and their body is responding in a way that's like very uncomfortable, I always say, well, of course your body's doing that.
Mm.
Like, of course your body's shaking.
Yeah.
You told us earlier, whether this was actually on the episode or not, you told us earlier that you haven't told many people this.
Mm.
And now we're so thankful that you feel enough safety with us to tell us. And that still, as Brene Brown would say, and sorry, Derek, if you feel like you have to bleep this out, as Brene Brown would say, that this is still your fucking first time sharing this in a bigger format.
Yeah.
You know, like you are letting us and others in to the sacredness of your story, and your body feels the terror of that lack of safety.
I appreciate
And that makes sense that you'd be shaking.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't edit that. That was good.
Yeah. Well,
If somebody's listening and gets caught up about Jamie saying that word after what we've just talked about, then maybe this isn't the podcast.
yeah, for real.
With
yeah.
all due respect.
Yeah. You definitely don't want me being your therapist if that bothers you.
Sometimes there like situations like this. I mean that is like there's not many words that can accurately describe the weight of this.
I've definitely screamed that in the car, or going for a run
Of
or
course.
something several times, dealing with all this stuff. So
Yeah.
I would say that's caring for a part of you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's you doing something wrong. I would say that Blake knows this, but whenever I am cussing, it means that this part of me that desires justice is aggravated. So like, which you can imagine happens in session when I'm talking to people and they're telling me their story, and I'm listening to someone's story like yours, Dustin, and I'm going, that this is not God's heart for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this part of me that feels so outraged about that internally is just like bouncing around, cussing up a storm. But it really is like a beautiful part of me that just wants, oh man, Blake, you'll have to help me remember who said it. I think it was Chuck DeGroat, who wants just that shalom, the connected wholeness of these things being made well. And kind of in that vein, unless Blake, you wanted to take it somewhere else, what I am curious about first, Dustin, is, because I think this will be encouraging for people, what has helped you? Like, you've been navigating this since 2019, and now you're sitting in front of us, talking to us about it. That suggests a lot of growth, man. So, like, what has helped?
I appreciate that. Well, first of all, therapy. I'd never been to therapy before in my life. It was always taboo in my household, right? You don't do that. But therapy was very much just life-saving for me, and just being able to talk about not only this. This is the main reason why I went to therapy, right? Because I did feel that shame that I put her in that spot over and over, and I didn't feel worthy of being married to her anymore. Like, I felt like I let her down. And so that was the main thing. But then we were able to go into other things and stuff like that. And he gave me a term that I'd never heard before. I don't know if you all have or not, but he said that it sounds like I have dissociative amnesia. And he said, I've never heard it before. I've kind of researched it a little bit, but what he kind of described it as is when we have trauma in our life as a child, we have somehow set up ways to disassociate when those traumas are going on, and then that blocks out memories, that blocks out what happened during that or whatever. And so the reason why I couldn't remember, that was what was so frustrating about me, is my wife would say, you laid hands on your dad, like about to take him out when he touched me.
Mm.
And I don't remember it like at all. And he said that's my trauma. That's me dealing with my trauma from the past when I was a kid and had to deal with him. That was the same thing I did, is I reacted and I did something against him, but I don't remember it at all. And so putting some kind of term like that to it, at first I was very like, that's a made up word. Like, that's a made up thing, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't trust that. I don't trust that. I'm a human. I'm a man even, right? I can handle my emotions. I can do things myself. But putting something like that to that really gave me the opportunity to say, to delve into like the trauma and to delve in, why I do react certain ways. And maybe there are other things in my past that have happened that I need to look into and I need to research a little bit. And so we didn't dig too much into like childhood trauma and stuff like that. And that's probably another reason why I need to go back. But for me, therapy was number one for sure. Just being able to talk to somebody and get some, Dustin, that was not right what happened to you. Because for so long I had been told, just basically suck it up. Like everybody deals with that. So to be told by somebody, hey, that's not right what happened to you, and that's okay for you to still be struggling with that. As a 30-year-old, what happened to you when you were 18, right?
Right.
And so that was number one for sure. And then, man, I don't have a lot of friends, but I have some really good couple of friends that know this story and have kind of walked with me through it. And
can I ask what your friends' names are?
Well, one of them, Michael Jennings. He's around on the podcast. He comments a lot. And then there's this other guy named Austin Ferris. He knows the story too. And I've been hurt by a lot of friends throughout my life, and so these are two that I feel very close to, and that I can trust with something like this. And it's funny, Austin is like a huge sports guy, like all about athletics, and I'm nothing like that, like at all. And I used to be really intimidated by guys like that, but for some reason the Lord just brought him in my circle. And Michael and I are literally the same, pretty much. We think the same, which is sometimes crazy. But those guys have really just given me the opportunity to be who Dustin is and who Dustin has always wanted to be, but never felt safe enough to be. And so that's been another beautiful thing, is just being able to be who Dustin really is, and then dig into this situation and how would the true Dustin respond, not Dustin firstborn child, or not Dustin, the people pleaser Dustin, the true Dustin. How would he respond to that?
Hey, Michael and Austin, thanks for being the hands and feet of Jesus.
That's cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And then the last thing would just be, sorry, I'm long-winded apparently.
Yeah, this is good. This is
the
really
last thing would
helpful.
just be, it sounds stupid, but exercise has really helped me too. I got into just exercising probably about this time that it kind of came out. And now I wouldn't say I'm a runner. I wouldn't say I'm into running. I hate it every time I do it, but it definitely is something that helps me just get if I'm having a bad day thinking about it or stressing about something, it's a stress reliever for sure. And so. Yeah.
It's a healthy way to, it doesn't sound stupid at all. It's a healthy way to release some of that same urge in your body that went after your dad, like that same energy. Maybe it's the same, maybe it's not, but exercise is definitely a healthy way to release some of that rage that we tend to just keep in.
Can I name something about the dissociative amnesia before we move on?
Yeah.
There's conflicting research about it.
Yeah.
I would say anecdotally, like it's pretty hard for Blake and I to sit here and go, the research that says this doesn't exist is correct. Because I know we have both sat across from people who have no memory of hard things that have happened to them.
Mm.
And the way that without getting into like whether that is absolutely correct or absolutely wrong, I have lived it with myself and others being true. And the way that I try to acknowledge it for especially the men that I meet with is when you have a really severe injury, you like say you have like a broken bone, you don't immediately feel the pain of that. And the reason is because your body goes into shock.
Mm.
And so it dissociates physically from the pain.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that your emotions are a part of your physical experience. And so if something is that painful, if something breaks or gets severed, why would your body react in any other way than how it does when you break a bone?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Just wanted to say that so that somebody listening, if they're like, well, I did some research and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, you're right. It does get mixed reviews online, but I think have compassion for your experience, because I've seen that be more true in my counseling office than not.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Dustin, how would you feel about coming back to the shame a little bit that you mentioned? When you were telling the story, the part that that the most visible emotion started to come up was the shame around when you were saying I kept taking her back to him, or I let her down. I have a thought about that I'll get to in a second, but I'm just curious if you would say a little bit more about those feelings and those thoughts that you can still have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it is and still is the hardest part of it all. Not that, maybe it should be that he did it, but I've done research about my father and his past, and so there's trauma for him too, like, and there's sexual trauma in his past that had happened to him, and so maybe that's just what he knew. Maybe think going through all that, right? But for me, the hardest part is I didn't listen to her when she said, I don't want to go back. I don't want to take our kids over there. Again, I just thought that she just didn't like him. And, and to be honest, I didn't like him very much either, being around him. And I didn't want my kids around him. But I felt, again, like I've said a couple times, I felt that responsibility as a firstborn son. It was his first grandchildren. And I felt like that he needed to know them. And so it still is very raw. And when Brittany is my wife's name, when her and I talk about it, that is always the first thing that I bring up is, I'm so sorry that I took vows to protect you at all costs, and I didn't do that. And that was the first thing that went through my head when she told me. And I told her, I said, you have every right to leave me and take the kids, because I didn't live up to my vows. And that was never in her thought. That was never in her, process. But that is what I was telling myself, is that I didn't deserve her love. I didn't deserve her devotion. I didn't deserve to see my kids, because I put their mother through something that was harming her on a monthly basis, probably. And yeah, that's still very real. That's still very raw. And that's why, that's the initial reason why I went to therapy, is I thought I could never get over that. I could never get through that.
Do you have kids, right?
Yeah, we have 2.
How old are they?
My son is 13 and my daughter is 11.
Okay, I don't know if this will be helpful, but I'm just gonna throw spaghetti at the wall.
I love it. Let's go.
There's so much complexity around this, because I think as men we do tend to go to like, where did I provide? Where did I not provide? Where did I show up? Where did I not show up? Like this responsibility, which is a responsibility that is God-given, that I do believe we need to take seriously. And are we aware in ourselves of when we are applying responsibility to a part of us that actually wasn't responsible for that? So imagine for a second, your kids, and maybe let's say they're even younger than they are now. I don't know. And how would you feel if they felt the responsibility to care for and manage and like take on the full responsibility of you, like as the adult, your emotions, your fears, your desires, your confusion about relationships? Like, how would you feel if they held that responsibility? How would you feel toward them?
Like it's not fair for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't have to be their story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this isn't to like excuse things or, whatever. It's not even about what you did or didn't do. What I'm trying to paint the picture of is when you were around your dad, in relationship with your dad, as a result of the trauma that you experienced with him, I'm talking about like even growing up and the disconnection, even though you were in your 30s, like most of the time, I would imagine that when you were around him, you were in a lot of ways operating from that young, like wounded inner boy who, and this is the part that is like the really complex grief of it, is yes, you were showing up for him because of all of these, like you wanted to be a good dad, you wanted to be a good son, you wanted to help him have his grandchildren. And I'm projecting a little bit my story and my relationship with my dad. So if this doesn't fit, tell me. But I wonder if even through the confusion and all of the reasons of why all the valid reasons of why you could have gone, yeah, I don't care about my dad and I don't want a relationship with him. I wonder if there was still that little faint desire in you that just wanted a relationship with your dad.
1000%. I always wanted to be accepted and loved by him, for sure.
Yeah. So just as I'm hearing you tell the story, I'm going, maybe it's some of both, but I don't know how much of it was like Dustin as the adult ignoring his wife's call or his wife's bid to not want to go to his dad's, but how much of it was Dustin, the little boy who was hearing that, but who was also really just wanting a connection with his dad. And that's a big responsibility to put on a little kid.
And even like, I would add, like you're already hearing that desire to not go from yourself. Like that little boy in you is familiar with the message of, please don't make me do this.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had so much life experience of going, no, but if you do it this time.
Mm-hmm.
So then why, when someone else outside of that voice already in you saying, please don't make me do this, when they say, please don't make me do this, why would you listen to that voice? This little kid in you, like Blake is saying, is already like, man, that kid is just desperate for care. And if anything gets in the way of that, that's the pain he's rejecting first. It sounds like. It's like, yeah, it's really painful to consistently hear, please don't make me do this, and still feel the requirement. That's what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. The requirement to show up as the good firstborn anyways.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. appreciate that.
The shame, like the shame that can still linger. Jamie and I have been talking a lot about this recently, about the experience of shame, because it's something that we both experience and something that everybody on the planet experiences, if we're fully honest. And it's something that I don't believe we can fully heal from or never experience again. East of Eden, right? The way it's been stirring in me lately is, if your primary attachment figures, for most of us your parents, didn't address and work to heal from their shame, which your dad did not. It's very obvious. To have that many affairs is a result of not addressing your shame. To lie straight to your face about how he was just needing a break is a result of him not addressing his shame. It actually doesn't have much to do with you not being worthy of the truth. It has more to do with him not being honest with himself. And so if they're not addressing their own shame and working to heal from it, then your nervous system is absorbing it. Like, your nervous system is taking on their shame as they unintentionally project it onto you, because they're not working through it. It's there, they're just not working through it, but you still need connection with that caregiver to like be well. And so you absorb their shame, and it actually becomes how you attach to them and to yourself. So in a way, the shame became safe. And I think that can be, like, for me, thinking about that recently has helped me have so much compassion when my shame does show up, because it's such a dysregulating experience, right? To feel shame is a very dysregulating emotion.
And so physically uncomfortable.
Very much. And I can be frustrated at myself. Like, why is it still showing up so much? Why is it still there? But when I realize, this, like, pretty early on was actually how I learned to connect, and in some way go, man, some of this shame that I'm carrying, this is actually my dad's shame. Or this is my mom's shame. I don't have to keep carrying that.
As like Blake says sometimes, and you're quoting somebody, I think it's Gabor Mate, probably, because it's this podcast. That was what you had to choose for attachment over the authenticity.
Yep.
Of like what you experience with Michael and Austin now.
Yeah.
Like, that's the authenticity. But you had to choose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being a bad son. That way it doesn't have to hurt as bad. When the reality is, I have an unloving, unattuned, unhealed father.
What do you? I mean, we can see the emotion for those who are watching. What are you experiencing right now?
Well, I want to take so many notes, but I don't want to keep looking down. But anyway, I'll have to go back and listen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I could just see that throughout my entire life. And I kind of alluded to it a little bit. Like, I'm 38 years old, and in the last year or so, I just feel like that I'm finally coming into who was made to be. And I could see directly that was as a result of him and his not dealing with his shame, not dealing with his issues, and him projecting it on me, whereas I didn't fall in this idea of what he wanted me to be, and I didn't fall into what he thought I should be and what it was easier for him to relate to me about. And so I've literally struggled all my life with just being that people pleaser, and that whoever anybody wants me to be. Like, if I want to be friends with that person, I'm going to be this way, right? And then and then kind of giving up the true Dustin. And
Mm.
when I would go and see him and his wife, like I I s- I I feel like I was a different person, and I felt
Yep.
like that I didn't truly share at all who I was, just because I was in survivor mode, and I
Yep.
was just like, I have to deal
Mhm.
with this for the next hour and a half, um, and I have to be who he wants me to be, who he needs me to be, who he expects me to be, even though I disagree with everything that it is,
Hmm.
um, just to appease him and just to get by and just to not have an issue and to be that good son and that
Yeah.
then that good Christian. Honestly, sometimes it was even Christian. Like, hey,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm mad at him as a son. I don't like him as a son, but as a Christian, I need to love him, and I'm finding it really hard right now to do that, and so I don't need to be around him, or I need to suck it up and act like I love him.
Mhm.
Mm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
any of that made sense, but
Oh
It
yeah.
makes perfect sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've confused honoring your parents big time in as followers of Jesus, and honoring your parents sometimes looks like being honest
Mm.
about what was really going on. And if I, as the parent, am not able to hold space or create a space for that honesty to be there, that's on me.
Mhm.
That's not on my kid.
Yeah.
Um,
Because even the way that you were talking about it, you were like, I had to go into like this. I had to become this other person,
Mm.
and this is, you know, Blake's primary modality that he uses as a therapist, and one that I use and love, is called internal family systems. And the reason we love it is because you can learn to have compassion and honor these parts of you as not something wrong. That, like, you becoming another person, you called it, I went into survivor mode. That's what you said.
Yeah.
What if this is a part of you who's a survivor?
Mm.
What a beautiful part of you that learned to survive something hard. That's just something very strong about this part of you,
yeah.
rather than something wrong about
Yeah.
a part of you. And that this isn't necessarily like you became a different person in a shame-based way, but thank God you became a different person so that you could stay safe, Dustin.
Mhm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so emotional.
Nothing.
Well, we feel it, brother.
You've listened to the show. You know you don't have to apologize for that.
Yeah. You've heard how hard we cry on here at times. Hmm.
I will say, like, the beauty in all this, to get even more emotional about it, is my therapist started it, but somebody else said it too, and I can't remember who it was. And I try not to take too much pride in it, but I do take somewhat of a pride in it. It kind of goes along with what you just said about the survivor thing. Like, it sounds like that there's been a chain in my family like this, right? Like, that's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
Different trauma and different abuse and stuff like that. And so somebody told me once, the beautiful thing about my kids is that they will no longer know that.
Mm.
They'll no longer have that trauma. And so when I think about that, like, my kids, Sawyer and Harper, will never know abuse from a father. Will never know, that they're not good enough.
Mm.
And it makes it all worth it, right? It makes all the sessions with my therapist and the frustration and the F words, all that stuff. It makes all that worth it, because if they're in therapy one day, it won't hopefully be because of me, right? Like in some way that I've treated them, because hopefully I have worked through my stuff, and I'm continuing to work through it, right? And working through my trauma, my shame, my issues, to hopefully set them for a better course, and to hopefully tell them all the ways I struggled, all the ways I messed up, so that hopefully they can learn something from as my son calls me, old dad all the time.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
and
and
so that is, yeah, go ahead.
can I give one caveat too? And Blake, push back on this if you feel like I'm saying something out of turn here, but your kids may be in therapy because of you still. And I think the most beautiful thing, this is how I think about it for me at least, the most beautiful thing that you have the potential for now is not that your kids don't have harm because of you, but that when they experience harm, you can show up in apologizing and in holding them in that harm. Not that you don't cause harm, you're not perfect,
Yeah.
but that in your imperfection, you're also humble.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And you're totally doing that. I want to flip a table hearing you talk about this. It's like,
Yeah, this is an inspiration for everybody, really.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired and encouraged by not only your willingness to do the work, but to tell the story.
yeah.
Telling your story in the way that you're telling it. Like, this is where I have been, this is where I am, not in this, like, I have healed and I have learned and now here you learn from me. It's like we are still healing and learning together. And the telling of that story is healing for other people and for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
Maybe, so I told Blake that I would contain us as we land the plane. And right now I'm feeling a prompting for us to just like breathe. I know I need some breaths. Maybe a prompting for us to just breathe. We'll do, for those of you who are unfamiliar listening, my favorite method of breathing is 4 seconds in the nose, holding for 7 seconds, and out through the mouth for 8 seconds. It calms the parasympathetic nervous system, which, if you've been listening lately, is something that Thomas Cabell talked about being really important for coming back to your sense of peace with yourself. So we'll do just a few, like 3. I'll name particularly instead of ambiguously. We're gonna do 3 breaths, 4 seconds in the nose, hold for 7 seconds, out through the mouth for 8 seconds, and I will count us off.
Okay.
So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you need more of that, if you're listening or
Just
you're
hit
one of the 3
rewind.
people on this call, keep doing it. You will notice. I like to say that when I do it enough, my body feels like it's thawing.
It's a great description. I felt that a little bit. Yeah.
So I want to end with this. Dustin, what would you hope that our listeners, your community, what would you hope that they hear from you and take away from this conversation?
I think first would be that to not shy away from dealing with childhood stuff. If you, like I said earlier, like I was told to, put everything under the rug and just kind of deal with it for an hour and then move on. And if I could tell anybody that, like, if you feel tense, if you feel like, you know, like not cared for, not like accepted by those people who are supposed to be your safe places and the people that helped you grow, like I would deal with that somehow. Like I don't know what that looks like for you. Um, but I wish I did earlier because I sometimes dream about what it could have done and changes things, right? Like what it could have done for my kids in a different way and for my wife. Not that I sit around and like again mentally abuse myself and like say you're a horrible man, blah blah blah. But I do sometimes think if I dealt with it earlier and dealt with it before we had kids and had conversations, put up more walls if I needed to before, how my kids' lives would have been different, my wife's life would have been different, maybe mine too. So first and foremost, I would deal with that, and then also, man, like find your people. Find your people that you can just trust. And
Yeah.
I mean, those two guys I mentioned earlier, like I've literally been like if it's possible, if you can imagine this, worse than I've been on this podcast, like slobbering snot, like everywhere crying in front of them.
I love it.
And I've never once felt weirded out by that. Like I've never once felt like that's not justified, right?
Yeah.
And so that for me has been just huge, just being able to really have brothers that I can just really be vulnerable with and be, you know, the true Dustin that I don't know if I've ever really felt except the last couple years. So this community has just been awesome just to be able to not shy away from the mental health, but especially when you're talking about men and mental health. Michael introduced me to this podcast and like just the things that you all said, the avenues you've gone down, the episode of Jamie, you know, just that's everybody's favorite, just Jamie going through some therapy stuff on screen, like
Yep.
like and then just even the one with the other Blake talking about you know all the stuff she did, like it's just real things that like guys 9 times out of 10 don't talk about. And I desire so much for men to just really get real and authentic and just talk about their feelings, because the way we deal with things and the way we handle things affects a ton of people around us. And I just think that could be so cool if we could all just be more open and honest and authentic, and it would just help the world, I truly believe, so much more. I don't know if that's an answer, but that's what I think.
Oh, that's an answer, Dustin.
That
I
is
got
an answer.
goosebumps, dude. I'm gonna run through a brick wall right now, man. Well, here's how I would end today then. Dustin, we are glad you are here. Please keep showing up because you are worth it. And to the rest of our community who we are a part of and Dustin is a part of, we're glad every single one of you is here. Do the work that Dustin is doing. Keep showing up. You're worth it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Listen, we're working on some really practical resources to help you connect more deeply with yourself and others. So if you head over to our website, 3percentco.com, you can learn more about that. The link will be in the show notes. And this is the part of the show where we ask you for some help. Listen, we don't have a big fancy production team. We're recording these in my therapy office in between sessions and in the margins of our life. We just really believe in the message that much. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and rarely would I take the time to review and rate a show, just because honestly, I forgot. It wasn't until we started doing this show that I realized doing that actually really does help these platforms notice our show and get the word out. And so if any of this is impactful to you, we would love it if you took a second to leave us a review, rate us, or if you want to just do it the old-fashioned way, text this link to a friend and say, hey, let's talk about this episode. Whatever you do, make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to so you never miss an episode. We're really grateful you're here, and we'll see you next week.
So let's be honest. honest.